I'm Lindsay Smith with Real Agriculture and Real Ag Radio, and joining me now is Jim Tokarchuk. He's the Executive Director with the Soil Conservation Council of Canada. Jim, welcome here.
Thank you, Lindsay. Well, great to be here.
All right, so we saw recently the Senate Committee for Agriculture and Forestry launched its full report on soil, and there's a laundry list of recommendations. They heard from a lot of different people. I'm going to guess that your organization was one of those. Generally, to start, what did you think of the report?
Well, if I were a teacher and I was grading it, I'd give them an A plus and give them a pass from the final exam. I think really honestly, they did such a good job, Lindsay, in covering the issues across Canada. If you do read it, you see that they really paid attention to the regionality of Canadian agriculture, and trying to wrap that up into a national piece. Well, it's really hard. I think they did a great job. And in their recommendations, when I look at them on the whole, I think that they really do identify things that need to be done, that are filling gaps that our organization has seen in some of our consultations. And they're also hitting the right tone, is that this needs to serve producers. It needs to be an industry-driven approach in the future, in collaboration with government and with industry and with farmers and ranchers as well. So I think they did a really good job of expressing it. The thing I'm really excited about is that this strategy, and one of the recommendations, and I can't recite them all, but one of the recommendations is that we declare soils a national asset. Mm-hmm. And I think that's brilliant, because soil health and soil conservation have really been the poor cousins for all my career, which, as you can tell from my hair color, is a long time. And it's always, anything that we've gotten done in soil health and conservation has been sort of a serendipitous connection to other priorities like production, which is good. And but now I think what his study is going to do is lead us to where we look at soil health as an essential part of our business, and we farm for soil health, we plan for soil health, and to me that's the most exciting thing. And then the rest of the recommendations they brought out are really good steps to achieving that. So mm-hmm. I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased that our council is really pleased with it. Everybody outside of our council I've talked to in the last week is really sort of the standard line I'm getting is, good job. Can't wait to see the action start to roll out.
So, and that is, of course, the most important part of any report like this, or, shedding light on the importance of soil, which I think the report does outline quite well as to, why it's an asset, why it needs protecting, and just how important soil health is to Canada as a whole, farmers, of course, but Canada as a whole. But the question is, and certainly there are recommendations, those require action. What would you like to see as the first set of action items that come out of this report?
Well, I think if you look at the order they're grouped in, the first group talked about a couple of things that we can do really quickly, and one is to have they call it a soil advocate, and I think that's a great idea. Other countries have done that. That just means we have a strong national voice that continues on to talk about this. The Senate study's done. The senators will move on to other things. So I think right away that organization or voice needs to be named and put into place. The second thing I think is to be able to continue to develop the actions and implementation plan of a national soil health strategy. So those are the first things, and soon after that, we do need to look at a couple other things like how we keep incentivizing farmers to undertake soil health measures, how we're going to measure and monitor those impacts for so we're accountable, and how we can report this. So, man, there's lots of things in between, but I think those things we need to do quickly. We need to have a strategy. We need to have ongoing leadership for soil health in Canada, and we have to think about how we incentivize farmers to continue to do those actions on their land.
Having a national soil health strategy is something your organization has been calling for before this report.
Yeah.
Why? What have been the barriers to having it happen?
Well, I think the I wouldn't call them barriers, but the challenges are that this is a cross-cutting issue. This is it's not a simple thing. It's not about one crop. It's not about one species of livestock. We have to talk to all those groups. So getting some authoritative consultation with them is a challenge. We've done some of that. It is a challenge. So, and that takes time. The other thing is it's a complex strategy, and so we've been very careful not to make it look like we have a strategy in our back pocket that we want to impose upon people. The cake's not baked yet. So we've been very, very careful to build it on some principles, build our consultations on principles, and do it in as in transparent and inclusive manner as we can. And that all takes time. So time is a constraint. Mm-hmm. But I think we've been very fortunate because we're getting excellent support for the concept of the strategy from our industry partners. We've talked to over 100 individuals and organizations, so that's a lot of people when you look at the multipliers that farm organizations bring in. And nobody said we're crazy, and nobody said we started with the wrong fundamentals of keeping it science-based, of looking at how we do technology transfer, how we deal with the sort of the awareness of soil health in general. All of those principles are things that people are really supporting. So challenges, not constraints at this point.
Now, looking ahead, let's say, and this might be a pretty big pull to actually see some action because, as you said, sometimes things move slowly and sometimes time ticks by before we get some of these things done. So let's imagine then that we have a soil health advocate in a national scope. We have the strategy sort of being put together. In 5 years from now, what would you deem a success as far as where this goes from here?
Yeah. So in terms of the success 5 years out, I think first of all, the profile of soil health as an essential ingredient to maintaining agriculture and on our culture in Canada is well known. So the bumper sticker I have is soil is as important as air and water. So if that is a public reality in 5 years, good. If managing soil health is part of most farmers and ranchers in Canada's business plan, that would be a success. If we have a clear, and I'll say let's back that up into 3 years. In 3 years, if we have a value proposition for soil health, and we don't know, we don't have the data, we don't have the research done to do that. If we have that in 3 years, that is a success. That would look really good. Mm-hmm. And I can't. It's a little early to have numerical targets, but I don't. I think it'd be realistic to say in 5 years, if we have 90% of farmers in Canada actively conducting soil health, soil conservation measures on their land, then that would be a huge success.
I agree, and I think we can get there. I'll be honest.
I think. Well, I don't think we have a choice.
Mm.
We don't have a choice. And the other dream I have is that we have collective commitments, not only just from farmers, but we have commitments from government, and I'm really impressed with in the conversations I've had with government officials. They want to do this too, and we want to do it with them. And I also, in my dream, I see the big industry partners, that agribusiness, all doing the same as I've asked of farmers to do, is look at your business plan and where is soil health and conservation in it? What does that look like? How does that help your business? Because some companies do. Some of the large international companies that operate in Canada have sustainability commitments that they make every year in their business plan. And they're actively doing these things already. So seeing that spread is part of my dream.
Mm-hmm. That does, and we're out of time here, but it does bring in that piece, the science piece, as you said. One of the key components in this report is talking about how we need to set out parameters for measuring and
Yeah.
quantifying soil health. That is a key part. I think we have components of that, but I think we can all agree that there's a lot left to be done on actually having something that accounts for regional differences, but definitely encapsulates different things we can measure so it's not just subjective. So a lot of work ahead, but exciting times for
Yeah.
sure. Jim,
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Thanks. It's a pleasure.